The living room, where the family meets to discuss issues, any issue which may be bothering one of the family members. That's what we do each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM with Ricardo Mitchell and DJ Aaron 868. We have casual conversations on serious topics, from sports to culture, mental health to economics, relationships to life lessons. Join us each and every Tuesday on WAC 90.1 FM. The living room, casual conversations on serious topics.
It is currently 6 p.m. here in Trinidad and Tobago. I don't know what time it is where you are, but it's time, as I always say, to get Ricardo a watch, as well as to let you know that you're locked onto the true nation station, WACK 90.1 FM, where we are
culture crazy.
Now, this week, no such a long talk. Let's get straight to it. Let's kick it off as you always do, all right? Must give thanks and praises to the Almighty for granting us the gift of life and seeing another day. No matter what time of day it is, you must always
give thanks.
Secondly, we must say thank you to those that went before us, and we're not just talking about our ancestors, the original inhabitants of Trinidad and Tobago, because we all know and have come to accept that Columbus lied, the Tanos and the Kalinagos, but also to our brother in music, Tony Prescott, and the P this week stands for
participation.
Mm-hmm. Medals of participation.
Well, but to be honest with you, is a different period I wanted to use, But I think it's more important that we stay focused and not going to drift into political right. So
we're trying to stay away from that.
The P this week is about the participation in mental health conversations that we have dedicated ourselves to.
Right, and that is what we are going to be doing, as this is the second Tuesday of Mental Health Awareness Month. All right, and this week we are going to be joined by no stranger to the living room. She is a business owner. She is a podcast host. She is a certified counselor and therapist. All right. Again, as I said, no stranger to the living room. She probably hearing some ruffling and rustling upstairs. That means she coming downstairs.
I want to change my P word to prodigal, because the prodigal daughter has returned.
Alrighty then. So let's hand it over for the lovely musical interlude that we do each and every week, all courtesy for Rish. After that lovely intro by Vorish, and we remind you that they will be in concert on the 28th of October at Sapa, we are joined in the living room by the effervescent, ever beautiful, and ever educated Miss JL Valdez.
Blush. Hello. Hi, everybody. So good to be back in the living room. I thought y'all had kicked me out, honestly. So it's really nice to be back.
We only kick out people who don't pay rent.
Well, y'all I know y'all rented out my room. You also let my room. So
no, we didn't.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Well, it's good to be downstairs then, the living room.
Jill, I thought
Nice.
you moved to our penthouse in one library place or something like that. It's a real big shot thing with you this last round.
One library, please.
One library place, yes.
Well, P. All right, no problem. No. Still here. Just waiting for your little invite. You know what this be?
Really quickly, on a normal scale here, JL, did they pave the roads in Grand Road?
I heard that they paved parts of it. I had actually recently stopped passing there because it was so bad.
Okay, because I have some partners who work in Point tell me that they were protesting some time ago. So I just wanted to know if there was progress with that.
It's bad. The actual main road is really bad too. Like honestly, from Orokush coming down the road to Point, they tried to patch it though, so it's like 0.5% better than it was.
Out of 10,
Yeah.
how much are you giving it?
0.5? Oh.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad.
So it was 2.5 before?
It was 1.
Oh, wow.
I don't do maths, remember?
You're not on a math live.
Yeah, she's not on a math live.
I don't like where this is going.
Right. So Jill, we haven't changed the fact that we ask our guests when we start our interviews the most pertinent question. Not where's the scene, or where's the just visitors, right? Or where's the word hummingbird, to keep it local.
Don't do that.
Right? We ask, how are you?
I am okay, could always have a little bit more money in my pocket, but I'm very grateful to God for what I do have, because bills have to pay, and I have to eat. But I'm doing okay, just trying to, manage life and adulting. I would like to speak to a manager in the adulting store, but can't seem to find that person. I would like a refund. But I'm not doing too badly. I'm not doing too badly. Thank God. How are you guys?
Yeah, I am grateful. I'm not going to do the whole carrot and coleslaw business because that's just great. I am grateful because I have a roof over my head. I have food in either fridge or cupboard. I have my health. I have my strength. I have this lovely community of people around me who seem to care about more than just themselves. I'm in a pretty good place. I'm grateful. I'm grateful. I've been waking up and struggling to fall asleep when the night comes, etc., because I'm praying for people who going through this bad weather, the people who are affected by flooding, loss of property, loss of crops, loss of life, earning opportunities, or just the trauma of having to wonder every time rain fall or your hair thunder if you're going to go through this thing again. So I am grateful more than anything else. And Mr. Williams, besides being a freshly coiffed and polished,
immaculately groomed, this
is the best looking I've ever seen Aaron in the 25 years I know him.
That's a lot, and that's not really. I don't know how to feel about that.
I don't know how to feel about a lot of the things I say. But all talks aside, Aaron, now is when you're supposed to go and do your ID card pick, your passport
you look really
pick,
nice,
your license
Aaron.
pick. Yes, Aaron. So how are you?
It's a shame. It's a shame that my license is due to expire in 2031, I think it is. Ooh. It's a shame that I should go and do my ID card pick now, so my mother would be happy with it. But yeah. How am I feeling? I'm great, I can't complain at all. I am back to being productive. I am thinking that I'm making a change in a lot of these circles that I'm in. And I'm also happy to know that persons are paying attention to the conversations that we are having.
That's the best part.
The past 2 weeks, we have been very vocal about the mental health and suicide and stuff like that. And different persons have reached out with their own stories, as well as some positive feedback, which we will try to address some of those issues raised inside today's episode. And also a Cricket World Cup starting.
Yeah, man.
So I bring out my jersey.
You just but Aaron, in the interest of positive mental health and so on and so forth, I have to commend you. Well, no, I'm just saying, I don't know if your jersey will still fit. You're looking, your melanin popping. The lines on point. Yeah. I just saying, you might have to get a smaller size jersey just now.
No, I'll keep using the same jersey. Don't worry about that.
Nice. CJL, I can be nice to him.
Indeed. Took a while to get there, but good job.
Only 5 years.
Don't make me take it back.
Right, so guys, we are here today to discuss and continue our mental health discussions, all right? So, Jill, we're going to kick it off with a real, I won't call it a simple question, but it's a question to juxtaposition the rest of today's conversation, right? Anxiety and depression. We hear persons loosely using those terms, and we just want to understand, are those terms, one, interchangeable, and can you also clarify what's the difference between the two terms?
Okay, right. So Anxiety and depression are not interchangeable. They are actually two different entities. Depression is a mood disorder, and anxiety, in the grand scheme of things, is not. Even though anxiety is a feeling, right, and can contribute to feelings of, let us say, helplessness, it is not a mood. It actually has its own set of disorders that can be characterized from it or by it. Does that help you?
It does.
Right. Depression, again, exists on a continuum, and we can experience depressive symptoms or depressive feelings without necessarily being depressed, much like you can experience anxiety or anxious feelings or symptoms without having anxiety or without having an anxiety disorder. Anxiety is more feelings of extreme worry and uneasiness or dis-ease, and yes, I'll stop there because I was just going down the rabbit hole of more and more of what they both are. So I'll just stay there for now.
Ricardo, you were going to say something there?
Yeah, no, I was just going to try to lean into what it is you're saying there. So I can be sad without being depressed or without having depression. And I could also be anxious about something without it necessarily being anxiety or being diagnosed with anxiety.
That's right. And we like to use a lot of labels, especially because I do think anxiety and depression are trending. Not that a lot of people don't experience it or they're not experiencing it currently, because we are. I mean, we're still, we're on the tail end of the pandemic, but we're still in the pandemic. And there are so many things that we're dealing with in life coming at us that would essentially have us experiencing those feelings. But it's not necessarily that you have anxiety or you have depression. I want to be really careful about the labels that we use, while not minimizing, of course, the fact that many, many people have actually developed anxiety and depression.
So I can't self-diagnose myself that I have anxiety or I have depression.
You can see what symptoms you have. I'll put it that way. It's kind of like if you know that how you've been feeling and you think that something might be wrong, let's say with your back or with your heart or whatever, but you're not exactly sure what it is, but you have a lot of symptoms that might fall under a particular condition, right? You don't want to WebMD, or Google MD yourself.
Yeah.
So that's really important, because sometimes we end up misdiagnosing. And we say, okay, this is what I have and I'm going to treat it my way, and that could cause, sometimes it can be more harmful than beneficial. So you must know, of course, you know yourself better than anybody else. So you must know, of course, if you're experiencing certain symptoms more than usual lately, and it may be cause for you to go maybe see a professional or speak to somebody about it. But I would try to stay away from diagnosing yourself as far as humanly possible.
Now, is it possible for someone to suffer with both of these mental health issues simultaneously?
Yes. So long before COVID, in the professional field of counseling and therapy, psychotherapeutic services, we had the term comorbidities, right? So anxiety and depression would be an example of comorbidities, because they usually tend to occur together. Can someone be anxious without being depressed? Yes. Can someone be depressed without being anxious? Yes. But most times they go hand in hand.
Okay, so that would lend itself to the interchangeability that may have erroneously existed in the way that we view them.
Yes, this is why some people would definitely think that, oh, well, it's one and the same, because they tend to occur together, but they're definitely not the same.
All right, like different color Jordan almonds. They might come in the same pack, but they're still different flavors.
Sure, let's go with that.
All right,
Yeah.
Your analogies have gotten progressively
What an almond.
local. I'll just leave it like that. They have gotten progressively local over the years.
Hey, I mean, I'm acclimatizing to this country and its occupants.
Well done.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, Trinidad is not a real place. You had to get a little imaginative to fit in, right?
It's a true story.
So, Jill, there's a question that I do want to ask, though.
Sure.
You mentioned mood disorders, right? Is depression just about your feelings, or is there like a mental or a neurological aspect to this thing? Can it be more than just, well, I don't know how to deal with my sadness, or might there be biophysical factors that contribute to this thing? Because some people think it's just a matter of this person doesn't have enough willpower, or they don't know how to be positive.
Right. Great question. Actually, yes, it does. As do quite a lot of mental emotional issues. Which is why oftentimes, at least for me, when clients come and they present with certain symptoms, dependent on what I see, I do advise, make sure I go to the doctor to ensure that it's not as a result of something physiological. And sometimes that's why you may need, for instance, of course, I'll bring TV into this. So I used to watch Grey's Anatomy quite a lot, and there was a time when I think it was I can't remember which character it was, but they were acting very strangely and very erratically, and the decisions they made wasn't in keeping with the person that everybody knew them to be, and it turned out that the person had a brain tumor, and where it was pressing or whatever nerve, it was impacting their behavior, or whichever part of the brain, frontal lobe, which was I believe responsible for decision making. Don't quote me, guys, I got a stream biology, okay?
Yes.
So sometimes it can actually be as a result of that, and then the reason why some people require medication is because it is a physiological situation where they may not be getting enough of a particular hormone, or they may be getting too much of a particular hormone, or maybe the neurotransmitters in the brain aren't working the way they need to, so it needs a little bit of help, right? So that's why you would find sometimes it's more than just, if you had your willpower, you could just get up and do it. Similarly to addiction, right? So sometimes with addiction, it is definitely because of the effect of your body chemistry with this drug, and then your brain and everything just kind of working together that way.
So bear with me, Aaron, I just want to follow up quickly with this, but we're looking at mental health because a variation away from good mental health means there's a possibility you might have mental illness. Right? This is not a case of being mentally weak or strong. No. This is about being healthy or unhealthy. So you could have somebody who's mentally strong, great willpower, great decision making, etc., except for the fact that their body is not functioning the way that it's supposed to.
Absolutely, because your mental health and your physical health are inextricably linked. So, it's very rare that somebody could be like, my body's in tip-top shape, and, mentally they're not okay, and be okay as a whole. Just like you can have somebody who is, they're like mentally fine, but their body isn't doing what they needed to do, and they can be okay as a whole. The two go hand in hand. Will there always be equal levels of wellness? Will there be balance all the time? No. But generally, that's the aim. You want to make sure that you have a good balance between the two, that they're both as equivalent as possible.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going to take this opportunity to mention that Equilibre is Jail's organization. The concept of balance is important in terms of the way that she deals with mental health. I'm putting that out there. The reason I went that way, is because we have to address why people not have any mental health conversation the way that they should in Trinidad and Tobago. Yeah. And a lot of the time, it's not a case of, I need help because something is wrong. Be treated as if, you need help because you can't handle it, because you're weak, because you're not determined enough, or you're just too negative. We're not recognizing that there is something that can be diagnosed. There is something that could be specifically addressed as the reason why this person is feeling, acting, thinking this way.
And even with that, it's important for us, I think, to kind of retool the definition of strong and weak. Because for somebody to actually admit that I actually can't handle this and I do need help, let me access that help, is actually very strong. That is a move of a strong person, or even if they feel overwhelmed. So that's why we need to kind of retool what we see as weak and strong culturally, which is happening slowly, but surely it's happening.
Yeah, I'd like to commend Aaron for being one of the first mental health advocates that I worked with just in life, because generally it was the type of thing where I was just going through my life, doing my thing, helping people where I could help people, trying to figure out what is wrong with me. But if I'm not mistaken, it was doing interviews with Aaron and Carl Ryan where I realized that, wait a minute, there's a lot more to be done to get people to have the conversation where we're speaking with a mutual understanding of what mental health is and what the challenges are. Because culturally, we have a lot of the definitions wrong. We have a lot of the perspectives about mental health wrong. So we have one, to break the taboo, and then two, to re-educate in terms of the language that we're using, the way that we're treating people who have mental health challenges, recognizing mental health challenges within ourselves, and not just ascribing behavior to personality, that type of thing.
So horoscope.
Oh my word.
It is an uphill battle. I think we're doing the best that we can. Can more be done? Absolutely. So I do commend you all for always making sure that you have discussions about mental health, as well as we need to ingrain it in our children. Like, it's never too early for them to start learning about, expressing feelings, and, because they're little people, but they're still people. So we need to be able to equip them with the tools and provide them with the safe space to let them know they can speak about these things early, so that they don't grow into, as many of us have, emotionally stunted adults.
And I love the fact that you just brought children into the discussion, Jill, because that's something that we wanted to touch on today. And I have had conversations with a lot of younger persons, some young family members, some of my friends' siblings and stuff like that. And they always say that, my parents never taught me to be emotionally aware. How dangerous is it, for parents to minimize a child saying, Mommy, I'm really not feeling too right, or I think I need to see a therapist, or I need to go for counseling, or whatever it may be. And the parent just saying, "Bye, brush that off, huh?"
Yeah.
How dangerous is that?
It is very dangerous. I mean, again, we can find ourselves up against the challenge of Caribbean culture and Caribbean parenting, as we've known it. It has its advantages. I will never say no. I think we've all benefited from it. But there are also things that could be improved. I wouldn't even say that are bad. I would say that could be improved. And so I've had, a lot of young people also approach me and say, I think I'm depressed, but when I tell my mom or my dad, it's like, what depressed you could have to be? You have no bills to pay. You just have to eat food and do good in school. Go and depress them, where's them kind of thing. So,
wow.
It can be potentially, and this is another buzzword, so I'm using it loosely, but it can be potentially toxic in the way that parents handle these situations. Additionally, coming off of I know you all would have had your last guest speaking about his issues with suicide and suicidal ideation. And I would have just come off of doing 2 presentations on suicide last week. One was as part of mental health conversations with Brittany Cayenne of Cayenne Forensic Psychological Consultancy. It was an initiative brought forward by the MP's office, the Honorable Stephen McClatchy of Willowbrae. So as part of that, and then I would have done something with some ECC school parents on suicide, right? And last year, because I didn't get the stats for this year yet, but last year, between January and August, there were 86 suicides in Trinidad and Tobago. And of those 86, 77 were men. 77 were male, right? With the youngest actually being 9 years old, right? The youngest female to attempt, the youngest female was 11 years old. And I think she had attempted. I can't remember if she was successful, but basically, suffice it to say, little people feel whatever they feel as well. And sometimes it's so overwhelming, it goes to that to that extent. Not to mention, as males, you all actually have a higher propensity to complete suicide, right? So women are 2 to 3 times more likely to think about it, right? We might attempt it. Men are like 4 times more likely to complete.
Yeah.
So with those odds, essentially it's kind of like, if we're going into these stereotypes of male and female, when you all make up your minds, you make up your minds. That's it. There's like no coming back. So it's really, really important to be able to have these discussions and create these safe spaces, especially for our children. We know everybody has, mixed emotions about SE, but undoubtedly it is one of the most pressure-inducing events in a Caribbean child, specifically a Trinidad and Tobagonian child's life, right? So they can feel that sense of pressure. They can feel like it's too much. So I don't want us to take it lightly. Now, there are children and young people who also know that these things are very current and trending, and so they will try to use it to get out of things. We don't want to stay away from that either, right? So they use it, and they know the words, they know the terminology. I'm feeling depressed, I feel like I want to kill myself, so sometimes I'm feeling anxious. So sometimes they do kind of put that forward as a means of escaping or to justify why they're not doing something or why they are doing something, so we also don't want to overlook that because, those are real as well. But what I would say is it's better to be safe than sorry. So it's better to at least kind of explore it, get the appropriate level of help, and the professional will be able to determine, well, this is attention-seeking behavior, and see maybe why they felt that they needed to do that. Or if it is actually something serious that needs deeper attention or closer attention.
Well, we know that I have mentioned that before, Ricardo, that there are persons that would use the guise of mental health to take days away from work or to cover up a negative behavior. So I always advocate for persons, if you are feeling any type of way, and I think this is more recent for me than before, that seek some sort of help or guidance. And we started the episode by talking about some of the lower cost and free channels you could use. And we'll end today's episode as well by doing that again. Right? Now, Jay, I call it like if we...
That's fine. I'm in the living room. I'm home.
Like she upstairs. Bring my phone, bring my charger when you come in.
Now we have wireless pads all over the house. You fancy?
Maybe I really should stay here.
You studying that? I had wireless. Who paying for these lights?
Kenny.
Live here.
Right. In the last discussion that we would have had with Franz, he was mentioning that in his most depressed states, it would hamper and affect his memory and cause gaps or loss of memory. What other long-term effects or lasting effects are there of these mental health issues?
They're varied, right? Based on the person. What Franz described is what we call dissociation. It's a form of dissociation. So basically trying to separate yourself from whatever's happening, so that you could survive, because your mind is that powerful, right? So your conscious mind, the main aim is to protect you from any feeling of discomfort or distress, which is why we suppress things, right? So when we suppress things, it's conscious. When things are repressed, it's unconscious. We did it and we weren't eaten away. Sometimes you can repress and dissociate to the extent where you have memory gaps, right? Because your mind is like, nope, we're not dealing with this. This is too much. Out it goes, right? Sometimes what happens is that you have physical manifestations in your body of the depression or the anxiety. So you have neck pain, so you have headaches, or you have muscle aches, or you have stomach aches, or just a feeling of lethargy. You have zero energy, you have no motivation, right? And sometimes when you go to the doctor and you do blood tests or what have you, there's absolutely nothing wrong with you, right? So what it is, we refer to it as psychosomatic symptoms, where your body manifests what your mind is not willing to acknowledge is happening, right? So your body will also never lie to you, right? So a lot of what we feel a lot of it has to do with in our bodies is what it may be going on mentally or emotionally. So we do have things like that can be long lasting if we don't take care of them properly, because they're really just ways that your self is trying to cope.
So
yourself is trying to cope.
The wrong saying of what yourself telling yourself could apply here.
Yeah, correct. What you telling yourself?
What are you telling yourself?
No. What yourself telling yourself?
What yourself telling yourself? Yeah, so it's again, physical and emotional are inextricably linked. So if you don't feel it in one area, you will feel it in the next. Which is why when we're stressed, we experience those things. We feel the pressure. Our pressure may go high or low. We may find we have increased heart rate. All these things, which basically kind of link to the fight or flight response, because your body is trying to protect you from whatever this intangible threat is. Because your body can't differentiate what is an actual threat from what is an intangible threat, right? So is somebody holding a gun to my head, or am I experiencing severe stress in your workplace? They can actually have similar reactions in your body, right? So, yeah.
So why you had a gear on so is literally a reflection of the fact that your body cannot tell sometimes how bad one of these situations is from the other. When we see somebody overreacting, is because they have a physical motivation behind this reaction.
Sometimes it's because they're dealing with other things that we're not aware of, right? So it's like an iceberg. You only see the tip. So you're like, I don't understand why they're behaving like that. It's just this particular issue, but really maybe it's compound issues. Right. Maybe it's things that have been building for that person, and this was just the straw that broke the camel's back, right? So sometimes it is that. So anxiety in and of itself is actually not a bad thing. It's part of your built-in alarm system, right?
Agreed.
So anxiety basically can actually help you function better. So let's say you're an athlete, okay, and you know that you're going to be you're a track athlete, and you are going to be competing against Usain Bolt. You feel a bit anxious, right? That anxiety can motivate you to train harder.
Yes.
So
right?
lose by 1 second.
1 second, but at least you would have lost by 1 and a 10. So,
No, Jill, that's impractical. If I lose to Usain Bolt by 10 seconds, I mean, he finished the race and I ain't even run yet.
Well, I don't know.
We don't know what your 0 to 100 is, Aaron. We don't know.
Right? But what I'm saying to you guys is
and we should do a race, Ricardo.
What? Anxiety in its natural state, in appropriate levels within you, it's not bad. You can be walking down the streets and you feel like like your spidey sense tingling. You become more aware, more alert of what's happening around you, right? So you're like, okay, no, I'm not gonna go down that street because I'm gonna cross the road when I see this person coming, because it's late and they're kind of looking at me a type of way, and the situation, we assess very quickly if we're paying attention. That is how anxiety can be good. But when anxiety goes into heightened levels, when it's too much, and when it's flooding us too much, like COVID, like when we were during the lockdown. And so we became very anxious. We didn't know what was happening. Every day was something new, and of course everybody's sending like videos and links and that kind of thing. So for a lot of people, they became overwhelmed by that, and their anxiety levels increased, right? So just wanted to say that about anxiety as well.
So we just came out of a prolonged period where we depressed because we stuck inside all the time. But then when we do get to go outside, everything is a threat.
Basically, because now you don't know, right? So I also can't operate in the way that they would have, in the ways that would have given me comfort previously. Yeah. So when I walk down the road and I see my friend, obviously the first thing I want to do is hug them, and I can't do that. I mean, now I hug. I'm very sorry, guys. I do.
Yeah, and I think
I
ask
people.
You okay with?
People.
Yeah. Are you okay with?
Is it okay? Can I hug you? Is it? What do you?
You're going in for the dap, and then you're bringing the elbow, or you're
it's a lot happening. So I ask because I'm, and hugs actually good for your parasympathetic nervous system. They make us feel good. They release the cuddle hormone, also known as oxytocin, right? So that's why it's important.
Oxytocin is not the happy hormone.
It is a happy hormone, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, but it's known as the cuddle
get
hormone
imbalance
because
too.
it's released primarily from close contact with others. So you feel a surge, mothers who are breastfeeding, if I hug, and of course for a lot of people, after they've been physically intimate, there's that rush of oxytocin as well.
Big spoon, small spoon.
All that.
Yeah. No, when you're a 205 pound, 5'8" guy, spooning is. You know what? Let me move on. Let me move on. This is the living room. This is the living room,
Okay.
right? This is a prime time
Please
family.
keep it downstairs.
Family show.
So the
We
moral of the
downstairs.
story, in terms of treatment, we become a little bit more hyper alert. So, for instance, I know a lot of people coming out of the lockdown, or even when we were in lockdown, after a while, when their phone would go off or the phone would ring, they would become anxious because who died?
Right.
Who died? Or who's in quarantine? Because quarantine then isn't what quarantine is now, right?
You have quarantine now?
Well, supposed to, but so it at that time, so a lot of people, for them, there were certain things that would have triggered their anxiety to increase, right? But at the end of the day, anxiety in its normal state is part of our built-in alarm system, and actually, it's supposed to help us function. But with prolonged periods of exposure, essentially, it can become detrimental to you. So sometimes anxiety can develop into disorders, right? So we have generalized anxiety disorder, which is where you're not really sure what the stressor is, what is making you anxious. And then we have specific anxiety disorders, which would be like phobias. So agoraphobia, fear of going outside, right? We have fear of heights, we have claustrophobia, fear of being in enclosed spaces, fear of public speaking, right? So when it's a specific fear, well, it's a phobia. And that is like increased anxiety, essentially.
So, as we talking of anxiety, we could now kind of bring in anxiety attacks. How can one identify them? And also, in the event that I can't make it somewhere to probably be like a professional or something, self-soothe.
Great thing. So to my knowledge, and I stand to be corrected, all the professionals listening, within the DSM-5, you will not find a definition for anxiety attacks, right? There are a lot of anxiety symptoms. You will, however, see panic attacks, and panic attacks and anxiety attacks are not the same, right? So a panic attack is sudden, right? It just comes on. It's a big surge. It can typically last minutes to hours. Sometimes there's a specific stressor, right? And other times it literally comes out of nowhere. So that's like a panic attack. But sometimes you experience that and you have more anxious symptoms. So you might find the chest tightening, difficulty breathing, heart rate increased. Again, the fight or flight kind of going out of whack, essentially. So in terms of self-soothing, deep breathing is one. I know some people are like, that doesn't help. But if you do it properly, in certain cases, if your anxiety isn't too high, or I shouldn't say too high, even if it isn't extremely high, it can work for you, right? Because again, what we're doing is we're trying to slow down the system. So when you come back to the fight or flight, adrenaline is rushing through your body because we're getting ready to either fight and defend ourselves or Usain Bolt's out the place. Some people actually freeze. So like the man who, pretend to be dead so that they can survive. Some people actually get paralyzed in that state. So what you want to do is you want to be able to oxygenate your system, right? So that the brain can then tell the body there is no threat, we can calm down, right? So which is why the deep breathing works. So for most people, if you tell them take a deep breath, they don't breathe properly, right?
It stops short. A lot of people only breathe.
It's in the chest. So you do this exercise, and a lot of people, you see shoulders going up, but no, if you're breathing properly, and you have your hand over your stomach, when you breathe in, when you breathe in, your stomach should expand, right? Because your lungs are filling up, and when you breathe out, it's like a balloon deflating. You'll feel. Wait, which one is in and which one is out?
No, but you're
right. I have it right.
You're right.
My
Yeah,
hand is over my stomach right now.
The diaphragm business.
Yes. So if you sing or you are in public speaking, or back then when we used to choral speaking competitions in school, you would learn about that diaphragmatic breathing and the importance of it, right? So when you do that, sorry?
Big up Mr. Pitt.
Big up Mr. Pitt one time. So when you feel that air come in and it goes out and you do that repeatedly, there's also box breathing. So you breathe with a count.
Yeah.
Right? So you breathe in for, let's say, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, exhale, 2, 3, 4, hold again, 2, 3. So you're actually doing a box, right? So that when you envision that in your mind, it becomes a little bit easier, right? To do it in order and to actually slow it down. So when you do that, you're able to oxygenate your muscles, because sometimes your muscles cramp because of the adrenaline, right? You're able to lower the adrenaline levels, your heart rate can get back to normal, your breathing can get back to normal, your pressure, etc. Right? So deep breathing is a good one. Then we have some grounding activities, which basically kind of bring you back to the present moment. So one of my favorites is the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So basically the senses. So you use the senses anyhow you like. So 5 things. What are 5 things I can see? So I can see this, this coral colored wall. I can see my desk. 5 things you can see.
G. We still have a couple minutes. So you know what? In the interest of giving the people a tool, right? Do it on the let's have Aaron do the practice.
Why me?
Aaron.
Why not you?
I already know it. Right? I already do it. You look as if you weren't sure what the show is talking about. So this is an opportunity for you and the listeners to see, 1, how simple it is, and 2, that we don't know everything anyway. Right? So let's go through it.
I'm game.
Yeah, let's put Aaron
so
to
before that, I just want to, again, with the senses, right? So 5 things you can see, 4 things you can taste, 3 things you can touch, 2 things you can smell, 1 thing you can hear, right? And you just really focus on that, and it definitely brings you back to the present. Some people also use ice when they get anxious, because it really just kind of calm your nervous and stuff, right? Okay, so Aaron.
So when they say ice, like chewing ice?
Yeah, like chewing ice, maybe running it on your hand or your wrist, right? Okay. On your chest, that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's about sensory. Is a sensory and an immediacy. It's like, listen, you're coming back to the here and now. Where am I?
You can feel.
Yeah, it's a sensory thing. I am
mindful in the present moment.
I have a fidget cube. A lot of the times when people see me with the beads or bandana, they don't understand that a lot of the times that is sensory for me. I do something
just to help you, to become calm.
Kind of gonna say for me is I doodle, and I distinctly remember Jill, in a staff meeting at the establishment which we both used to work at. I was reprimanded for doodling at a meeting, but that was my tool of keeping myself calm at that moment. All right, so let's get down to this 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let me pull my chair forward. I
thought we were going to do the deep breathing. Which one you wanted, Ricardo?
You know what? We here is Mental Health Month. Let's do both.
All right. So is it that he's going to do the breathing and you're going to do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1?
I will do the breathing.
I'm doing the 5. Yeah.
Yeah, I will do the breathing. Let Aaron do the sense.
Numbers is my thing. So yeah.
All right. Okay, Aaron. So you need to just kind of, you can't close your eyes because you need to, right? But just settle yourself, okay? And just look around you, okay? What are 5 things that you can see? And describe them each.
I can see my ring light. I think the light is white.
Okay.
Right? I can see a national flag, red, white, and black. I can see a bottle of hand sanitizer. I can see the AirPods, the air, you know what I mean now? The wireless AirPods.
Wireless headphones.
Right? And I could also see 3 pens, a red, a black, and a marker. Sharpie. Okay.
All right, great. What are 4 things that you can touch?
Does it have to be the same things that I identified I could see?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I could touch my bottle of water.
How does that feel?
half empty, so kind of not as strong as it was before.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
I can feel my phone.
Okay. How does that feel?
It's a little bit oily from all the bear oil. Apologies.
Right. Mm-hmm.
I could feel the styrofoam case that from my wireless mics.
Okay. How does that feel?
Soft.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
And in no judgment whatsoever, I could feel a pair of scissors.
Okay. How does that feel?
Like it needs oiling.
Okay. It feels like it needs oiling. How does it feel?
It feels like when you're trying to open and close it, it's a little bit stiff.
Okay. Yeah. Good. All right. What are 3 things you can hear?
Because of the headphones that I am wearing right now, I can't identify external sounds.
Okay.
Right? I can hear Ricardo's voice when he speaks.
Right.
I can hear your voice. It sounds I don't know how to describe this. But
feel free to use your admiration.
Is he supposed to be giving me hints?
You just go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
How does it sound?
It sounds like that of a person that is interested in this conversation and learning about what we are discussing.
Okay, is it high? Is it deep? Is it loud? Is it soft?
It is a bit erratic. It sometimes reminds me of that of one Rennie B. Yeah.
Okay. All right. What else can you hear?
I can hear your voice as well.
All right. How does it sound?
It's a bit high pitched at times, and as in the simplest of descriptions. I can also hear my fan, which is a very annoying, that constant buzzing. But I will admit that I use it as white noise most of the time.
Yes. Okay. What are 2 things that you can smell?
I can smell my incense, which is burning, sage.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And I can still smell the lingering scent of the fish which I would have fried earlier.
Okay. And what is 1 thing that you can taste?
Nothing.
Noted. Okay. How was that for you?
It put into perspective the space that I'm currently in.
Mm-hmm.
It made me remember where I am at this moment right now.
Yeah. Good. And that's really what it's about. And sometimes, as Ricardo was saying earlier, just kind of touching helps to ground you, because when you're anxious, you feel really overwhelmed, and it's hard to believe that you're in this space. So it kind of just brings you back here to ground you, to remind you where you are, right? And sometimes with depression, we need that too. Sometimes, right? Just to kind of remember where we're at, because oftentimes with depression, we could go down the rabbit hole. Right. I'm sorry we didn't, we couldn't touch a little bit more on that. All right, Ricardo, let's do this deep breathing. Right.
I'm going to breathe very audibly for our listeners on radio. I'm just letting you all know. Yeah.
That's no problem. Firmly planted on the ground. If you can have your right hand over your belly button and your left hand on your heart. Oh, all right. Not sure where it is. Is it there? Okay. All right.
The chest getting big now. Not sure which side
It's on the left. Right, great. So you close your eyes and I'm going to count for you. Do not run down my count. You're going to do everything I ask you to do as I count, okay? So you look like you're holding your breath right now. You okay?
No. I'm a very controlled breather.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. So we're going in, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. I'm going to go again. In. 2, 3, 4. Hold. 2, 3, 4. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to go again one more time. I'm going to extend the count. And what you're going to do, you're going to inhale through your nose, but you're going to exhale through your mouth. Okay? All right. In, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 2, 3, 4, 5. Out. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How was that for you? Did you feel your stomach expand or not?
I did. At first, I felt my shoulders going with it.
Your shoulders were going up.
Right, and then I remembered continue through that. So I didn't stop when my shoulders went up. I continued through it, and then I felt my diaphragm, tighten. I felt the stomach start to expand. So it was like, right. Get past the point of shallow breathing. Because a lot of the times we breathe it out and stop in our shoulders.
Shallow.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you told me to put my hand on my stomach, because then I felt...
You could feel it.
Yeah, like, right, continue. Get the oxygen down into past the shoulders. So, yeah, that was good. It felt... Listen, you have no idea how everything just... Well, you would know, but listeners, if you don't practice that deep breathing, if you don't actively practice controlled breathing, you have no clue how impactful it is. In those couple of seconds.
Did you feel a difference between exhaling through your nostrils and exhaling through your mouth?
Yes, I did. When I exhaled through my nostrils, there was still tension. There was still tension in my system. When you exhale through your mouth, everything just released.
Yeah, so you want to be able to let everything out, and that's why oftentimes we say exhale through the mouth. Also, you get more air out that way.
Yes.
Additionally, this is really good for strengthening your lungs, which in these COVIDian times is very important, right? So, again, the mind-body connection. So when you do that deep breathing, again, you're telling yourself, it's okay, we can be calm, we can relax, there is no threat present, it's fine. And those exercises you can literally do anywhere. You could do at home, you could do at work, you could do in the car, you could do in the gym. They're really, really very good for assisting with your general mental and physical health.
So 2 things I want to comment on with those exercises. One, doing them once is not going to help.
No, it has to be a practice. You must make it essentially a part of your regular routine. So it's not that, okay, I'm anxious now, let me try it. If you do it now, if you're proactive and you work that into your regular routine, then when the time arises where you may actually need it, it's easier to call on it. It's easier to bring it to your consciousness to use it.
Right? Yeah. And 2, with the deep breathing, I've heard persons say that if you want to see how to breathe properly, observe the breathing of a baby.
Interesting. I've not heard that.
But
what I will say is that you can, look on YouTube. There are various, if you're more of a visual person, there are numerous animated videos that you can find, which will help you with the counting and with the breathing, either in the box form. I saw one where it was like a ball rolling down like a hill, and then it drops into like a hot air balloon and it goes up. So as you're inhaling, you inhale for however long it goes up, and then when it drops the ball, then you exhale. So there are various animations on YouTube you could find to kind of assist you in terms of getting it down.
Now, Jay, there's one more question that we want to ask, because you know how it goes inside this program. We are getting perilously close to the end, all right?
Oh, sadly.
Yeah. But don't worry, we'll have you back soon.
Thank
Before the end of the year. We'll make sure.
I hope so.
Right? Now, as I said, we started tonight's program by discussing some of the lower cost and free options for mental health. And I'll reiterate here, one of them...
Yeah,
she was in agreement here.
Oh, okay. Right? One of the options that we would have discussed was findcarett.com.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to tell you.
Right? Another one is through the TT Connect website. Right? There are also other companies. There are numerous companies that do counseling services, including Ms. Valdez's company, Equilibre. Right?
Equilibre.
Equilibre.
Yes.
EQUILIBRE.
It looks like Equilibre, which is one of the other people.
Yeah, I'm gonna put the graphic up.
Thank you.
Which part?
Probably here.
Cool.
Yes, Jay, there too. Everywhere.
We just pointed in numerous directions now.
Yeah, that's you know what? Full screen. We're going full screen.
Right, good. Right? But there are many companies which you can utilize. There are many individuals which have begun to apply their trade within their communities as well.
Yes.
So you could ask around within the community because there are professionals everywhere. We live in an age where we don't have to physically go to a space to get this done. You could go online. But I also know that due to the situations and the circumstances, which some persons may be choosing to access counseling or therapy, getting away from the site is essential. Right? So what we're going to do, Ricardo, we're going to put a list up for the listeners.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will record and call out the list of names to some of these companies as well that persons can access for the benefit of those who are not watching on WAC.tv, but for those who are listening on the dial 90.1 FM.
Well done, sir.
Right. Now, Jay, as we make this abrupt exit from the living room tonight, sans snacks as usual, I realize I could just...
Well, I'm really problem with that, by the way.
No snacks. But the man home, eh? Anyway.
It's a snack basket the next time I'm on this show. Just want to say that.
Not a problem. Aaron, bring a snack basket when next jail coming on the show.
No,
and deliver one to me as well. That would be nice.
But you just said you were bringing the snack basket.
I didn't say that. I said I expect a snack basket. Okay.
You see what I have to put up with?
English language.
I was trying to get Jail to bring the snack basket. That's what I was trying to do.
Nah, forget that.
Anyhow, Jay, any closing remarks that you want to pass on to the listeners?
Well, I'd like to say, anxiety and depression are really real facets of mental health that a lot of us struggle with. Please don't be ashamed in any form of fashion about that. If you are dealing with it, please also don't be afraid to get help, professional particularly. It's always good to talk to someone, yes, but depending on the level of what you're treating with, you may require professional help. So please don't be afraid. Reach out to somebody to get that. As Ira mentioned, find KTT, the Mental Health Psychosocial Support Network. Quite a lot of our local organizations are there, paid, free, low cost, all of the above, right? Especially if you are experiencing some suicidal tendencies, there's a lifeline there as well. So just please make good use of it. And also take care of your body, because your mind and your body go hand in hand. So you really do need to be able to care for one if you're caring for the other, right? You have to be able to care for both. Additionally, just take good care of yourselves, please. Mental health is very important. And I am hoping that we'll be able to have another session where we can go a little bit more in depth into either or both anxiety and depression, or perhaps other areas of mental health. Thank you for having me.
Right. So we want to take this opportunity again to thank you, JL, and to continue to wish you all the best as you continue to strive to make mental health conversations the norm.
Thank you. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And all the best to you guys. You're doing an amazing job. So please keep it up.
Right. I'm going to take this opportunity to close before Ricardo today. Right. And I want to reiterate, as I always do, something that my football coach in university says. That fitness is not just being able to run for 90 minutes. Fitness is physical, it's emotional, it's spiritual, and it's financial. Fitness is holistic, guys. You need to look after your body as a whole to ensure that you can be the best you that you should be. Right? I always say that love is the currency, so spend some today. Let somebody know that you love them. All right? Because you never know which day. We love you too, JL. You never know which day will be their last. And this is yours truly, DJ Aaron 868. I'm always great and I'm never late. Ricardo?
I know, right? This is Ricardo Mitchell.
I was If the show is starting 2 o'clock and I'm there by 1:55, I'm not late.
If you're there by 1:55, anyway, go ahead, Ricardo. Sorry.
I say if the show starting at 2. 155 are there indeed.
This is Ricardo Mitchell, the Babyface Sage. Thanking you for joining us in the living room.
The babyface stage?
Yeah, until I get back the goatee, I don't think I deserve to be considered, social stage, vocal stage, all of that. But JL, thank you for joining us. Aaron, thank you again for introducing the concept of normalizing mental health conversation so many years ago. All in all, thank you guys. I appreciate you listeners, the viewers, the sharers, the subscribers, the people who offer in the feedback and the commentary, because a lot of what we spoke about today was because of commentary and feedback we got from the two-part conversation with friends. Right, so it's good to know that you all are impacting the way that this thing works going forward. So on that note, tune in next week. Remember guys, the hourglass is opaque. We don't know how much time remains, so whatever you're doing, be good and stay safe. Mr. Desmond is up next with the big band. Right. And tune in for Aaron's Kaiso mix because it's Calypso History Month.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Keep it locked.
Yeah.